I will have to apologize for the hair. And by the way, what do you guys think about the new space, new dark set? A studio tour might be coming next. Not next, soon. The Razer DeathAdder is one of the most iconic gaming mice that first came out in 2006, and the most interesting thing about its evolution are all the drastic gut and technical upgrades that the mouse has received, but also the shape in the latest 2020 release is unmistakably a DeathAdder. It's a V2, and it's a damn good one. And it's really the shape that makes this mouse so special even after 14 plus years, because it's comfortable for so many, it fits all types of grip styles, and even though our options today have grown manyfold, the DeathAdder is one of a kind. And the really fun part of comparing the original versus what we have now is basically seeing how small details in gaming mice have been perfected over the last 14 years, but in reality, seeing all the major changes really come into effect over the last year or so. Meaning better cable, better feet, better lightweight shells, better sensor upgrades and implementations that actually matter to human response and not just being technically better for the sake of being better. And so in this video, I want to talk about what made the DeathAdder so special and compare the original versus the V2 and whether or not the V2 is competitive in the 2020 context. Alright, so this is the new DeathAdder V2, a $69 mouse that is perfect for the mainstream in 2020. First, it's almost half the weight of the original, and I'm kind of glad they didn't reduce the weight any further, because the DeathAdder is a pretty large mouse and anything lighter would just feel weird. While the Guild Wars from 2007 is a heavyweight in comparison, but still with a legit comfortable shape. The DeathAdder is for right-hand use only, and it's almost approaching that ergonomic shape, but with a precise curvature to support a wide range of hand sizes and grip styles. The finger groove on the right click is perfect, and the flaring at the front is just right to separate your ring and pinky fingers. It is a slightly taller body that I'm used to, but for my large hand, it's an extremely easy mouse to adjust to after using much smaller mice as my mains, like the MM711 or the G305. The body width has reduced by a few millimeters from the original, but the main core shape has stayed the same. The surface coating has improved to include the rubberized texture on the side grips versus the glossy sides on the original, and I am quite impressed at the state of the matte rubberized coating on this Guild Wars edition after more than a decade of use, and I'm actually hoping for a return of this like dual tone color variations in the future mice, because the plain black is just getting bland. And I get that RGB customization is here, but I wish that Razer would have a bit more fun with textures and colors. The V2 also has some of the best mice switches around using optical switches, so debounce delay is non-existent, and 70 million lifespan will outlive the 2-year warranty. They sound better, they feel better, and it's exactly what you'd expect in 2020. And by the way, those side browser buttons are still quite chunky, with a similar profile or DPI switch at the bottom and 2 additional buttons behind the scroll wheel on the V2. Perhaps the only other similar element between the original and the V2 would be the scroll wheel. The design of course is different, and the V2 has more tactility and control, but they feel very alike. Light scroll steps, excellent middle click, and a super low profile. The sensor, of course, is best in class on the V2, the Focus Plus 20K optical with a smart liftoff distance adjustment and a handy surface calibration, so it's a lot more accurate versus the 3G infrared sensor with 1800 dpi on the original. So sensitivity wise, it looks like we've increased 20x, but in reality, that's just a technical specification because literally nobody plays at 20K DPI, but it does show the technological leap we've experienced in terms of sensor performance, and like the instruments can measure 20K precision, but the human can't. And lastly, the cable and mouse feet are probably one of the most important upgrades on the V2 versus the original. The cable, for example, is flexible, it's light, it does not kink, but I will say the thin and rubber cable from 2007 is still in such a great shape, and we're actually seeing the return of this cable style on budget mice, and that is interesting to see. While the new PTFE feet are more of a response to gamers modding their mice for better glide, so inclusion of such feature is just a nice value add on the V2. So I've been using the V2 as my main desktop mouse for the past week, and this is my first DeathAdder, and I can see why people like it. The shape literally fits me, and all the technical and slight upgrades in the body are all there so that it's competitive in 2020. In the past 12 months, we've seen so many amazing gaming mice launched, including the ergonomic Xtrfy M4, the light and small MM711, the comfortable Glorious Model D that is a direct competitor to the V2, and Razer's own awesome Viper collection and the fruitful Basilisk lineup too, making the DeathAdder V2 a bit less important and significant in the current scheme of things in terms of competition, but still somewhat ahead of the curve. And I would say Razer has been such a good player in the mice space in terms of improvement and pushing certain things forward that they are ahead of SteelSeries in many ways, and even in some aspects ahead of Logitech. And it's really simple. The legendary DeathAdder shape is what people love and will come back to, and that is why the V2 is still quite important in 2020. But I would love to hear if you have your own DeathAdder story. If you've been using one for a while, let me know in the comments. And yeah, it was just a little bit of an adjustment from me going from my MM711 to the V2, which is slightly bigger and a bit chunkier and slightly heavier. But literally after 5 hours, it was just like super comfortable. All right, guys, I'm Dimitri. Thanks so much for watching. And sorry about the echo. The room hasn't been fully treated yet, but that soon will change. Check out this other relevant content over here. Subscribe for more. And yeah, I'll talk to you in the next video. And as Eber would say, spend responsibly and stay safe.